Welcome to the Scoop Ward Order. Do y'all understand how long I've been waiting to say that? To try that? Wasn't that fun? Funky? Look, I understand I'm not Kirk. I am not Kirk Barton. Funky is not Nevada. But we are filling in for the fellas today, y'all. Good to see y'all. I see a lot of familiar faces in the chat per usual. Love y'all. We got some great things to talk about today. And so I appreciate the interaction in the chat, super chats, comments, and whatnot, so we can bounce back and forth and whatnot. What's going on, Funky? How you feeling on this good Thursday night?
What's up, B Moses? Yeah, I'm not Nevada. That's good to say. I'm not Nevada Buck. So, but yeah, no, it's a good to be here on a Thursday. A little abnormal, but hey, we have Buckeye football in 2 days versus the Iowa Hawkeyes. So, every week after this is going to be better and better. I mean, we get Iowa, Oregon, Patrick Mahomes, and then Penn State. So it's going to be a fantastic for the next 5 weeks of football, really. So can't wait. But yeah, good to be here on a Thursday. Yeah, just excited to talk about. Yeah, I mean, Nevada had some really good information yesterday about Harbaugh being offered up, and what do you think about that, B Moses? I mean, we that was pretty. I feel like we can probably read the tea leaves on that, and we've been seeing this coming. But it's good to see Nevada get another good source on it yesterday.
Yeah. First of all, I'm gonna get into that, but are you sure you're not Nevada Buck with his voice change? I seen people in the chat trying to say you was really Nevada Buck with like a voice altering machine or something, trying to
Yeah,
guess who you are.
it's not April
So
1st today. It's not April 1st today. Maybe tomorrow though. Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe you are him. Let's
maybe
just
I
let.
am. Yeah.
They've never heard you in the same space at the same time, so let's just leave it out there for mystery. But yeah, man, it's funny. As I was creating the thumbnail for the show, I was debating should I use the image that I use with the bus, with oh no, throwing him under the bus, or should I use like a waiter with one of the little serving plates with Harbaugh's head on it, with like an NCAA person behind him, like this or something, like. But listen, man. So just to catch some of y'all up, those who are not a part of the Scoop Board, listen, as Nevada always says, what you get on this podcast is like 1/10 of what you get on the actual board with nuggets and information. He has outstanding sources, as y'all know. All right. And the latest source basically let him know that, hey, Michigan has ramped up the legal team. They're working overtime to try to, assist with this NOA, and with the just the whole negotiation portion of it. And I say negotiation. That doesn't mean that they have wiggle room to get out of these sanctions. It's just what it is. It's just, I guess, for a lack of a better term. But Michigan is trying desperately to settle this and find something that they like with this. But the NCAA has them dead to rights. Okay, that has been the consistent, story that we've been providing you per the sources, and not only just per the sources, but per the facts that we just know about the case. But again, Nevada has very good sources, and the latest is they're scrambling, trying to figure something out. And the latest thing is they offered Harbaugh up a lifetime ban for Jim Harbaugh in exchange for whatever they're trying to ask, which is probably let us keep the natty, please. Do anything else, just let us keep the natty. And so, and of course, the NCAA is not budging. They're not budging. They're like, no. First of all, how are you going to offer us a dude who's already on death row about to get the chair in 6 months? He's already, and basically Nevada source said that he's already going to essentially get a lifetime ban once everything comes back down. The show causes and stuff are not finished. You know what I'm saying? And speaking of show causes, did y'all see Antonio Pierce get popped? Did
Yep.
you see that, Funky?
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up, B Moses. I was like, hey, if they're and Antonio Pierce, like he's a young head coach and he's about to get fired and canned in the NFL. So he's in trouble. He's in deep trouble. And I'm wondering what the NFL is going to do about that because his case is over and the Raiders didn't answer any comments on the case. But I mean, the NFL has the act on that. So for a young head coach like he is, I mean, he's in deep trouble because he'll never ever coach again in the college football. And he's about to be. I mean, he's really on the hot seat for the Raiders after this Devontae Adams situation, not having a quarterback. I mean, his future in football is not very bright. So, and if that's what he got for being first time offender at Arizona State, and they kind of talked about this scheme that he had, and he said he was a ringleader of the scheme that they had. What are they going to do about Jim Harbaugh? Jim Harbaugh is already facing, or forget it, or 4-year show cause from the
Yeah.
NCAA, um, and then this whole entire scheme on top of it. That's, I mean, it's going to be at least 20 years. I know we can say, oh, the years don't
Ooh.
matter, whatever. But I mean, that's the only logical answer though, because he's a repeat offender, so the penalties have to be much worse. Plus, the penalties that he got were much worse. So I don't see how Jim Harbaugh can escape this, no matter what happens. It's he's coming down, the Natty's coming down, Michigan's coming down, and yeah, uh, it's all bad news for Michigan. I mean, you can notice since they've gotten the notice of allegations that sent to them, they've gone one commit, and they have a smaller class this year already. So they've gone one commit. Kids know. Kids already starting to know. Uh, Kids are looking elsewhere on their team. Then they might get more deep. I mean, I'm forgetting his name. Ivan Taylor, the Notre Dame commit, flipped to Michigan, was on that visit to Alabama for the Georgia game. They had another kid committed to Michigan that was on that Alabama visit. So I mean, their eyes are wandering. So I'll leave it at that. But they already lost their best defensive recruit in the class, Nate
Yep.
Marshall-Auburn, like we said, and I mean more's coming soon. And all the kids are the transfer portal. It's an open transfer portal. Pretty much they can flip any day they want, even after they sign. So once this all finishes up in what we expect to be late November, December area, then it's going to be dark times. The Michigan, no matter what punishment Harbaugh has.
Yeah, for sure. And for those who don't know out there, Antonio Pierce, the former coach at Arizona State, he got an 8-year show
Mm-hmm.
cause, y'all. 8 years. Okay. Usually when you hear show cause, it's 3 years, 5 years, 8 years. And apparently he was taking kids' parents to the script club and was, paying for unofficial visits and other stuff like that. So, and he got 8 years. So I really feel like leading up to this whole scum demise that is like just ticking forward, we're getting closer and closer. We keep seeing little things from the NCAA rulings and like foreshadowings to kind of show you like, ooh, they got that for that. It's just funny to me. And I really feel like the NCAA is sitting back trolling, especially with how Scum has been handling this, so arrogant and cocky and defiant, through the media, calling the NCAA out, etc. And now it's like the NCAA is just throwing stuff out there, little balloons out there. Oh, for real? Bet? All right. Look what your man's got. What you think you're going to get. So yeah, it's crazy. And yeah, so they have Scum has until November 25th. That is the 90-day mark, I believe. I believe that marks the 90 days from when the NOA was first issued to respond. Now, of course, they have a 30-day period, before anything is completely final after that. But the scrambling behind the scenes, like you said, Funky, they know. The recruits know.
Mm-hmm.
One recruit is abysmal. And not only that, y'all heard recently about Jaden Davis. It was reported that his parents don't want him playing. They want him to redshirt. They don't feel
Yeah.
like he's ready for the rigors of the Big Ten. I mean, that could be true, but Jaden Davis, listen, don't put it past the fact that kids like him and others are prepping to bang out and leave. And they don't want to put their kid in harm's way so that when they do go to the transfer portal, they'll be fully healthy and intact. You know what I'm saying? So don't discount that. What you think? Have you heard about that, Funky?
Yeah, I mean, Jaden Daniels, it's funny. Jaden Daniels' biggest critic going into the committing to Michigan, like the one insider who was anti Jaden Daniels, guess who it is? EJ Holland, the Michigan's biggest insider. He said he doesn't like Jaden Daniels. He doesn't think he's ready to play. He doesn't think Michigan should take him. There's a reason why he fell in the rankings. And I mean, you can see a mix of that, him just being not good enough, which is that's more the side I'm going to take on that. I just don't think Jaden Daniels is ever going to be good enough to really. I don't think he's even a Michigan level starting quarterback. I don't think he's very good, even though he was really highly recruited. But I think there's a real reason why he got dropped by all these bigger schools and had to commit to Michigan at the end of the day. But you're totally right. It could also be a lenient of their parents not wanting to waste a year of eligibility at Michigan and be ready to hit the portal next year. You see that UNLV quarterback did that. So the UNLV quarterback can do that to get a bigger bag. Then absolutely Jaden Daniels could be looking to do that. And I mean, I'd be shocked if he plays a snap for Michigan. I'd be shocked if really any decent starter or highly recruited player from Michigan plays a snap at Michigan at this point, because they want to play for bowl games. They want to play for the playoffs, especially nowadays where like not only 4 teams make the playoffs, be Moses. So you could be, Kentucky could say, hey, like we're gonna try to make a playoff push, and that's not crazy. It's really like all these like lower level teams. That's not crazy to say anymore.
Yeah.
When it was 4 teams and 2 teams, you'd be like, okay, buddy, like sure. But now it's like, they can make the playoffs, and if you make the playoffs, I mean, who says you can't win? I mean, it's obviously really, really, really hard to do, and I think winning a championship in this modern era of playoffs is harder now than it ever was. But yeah, but still doesn't mean these other teams, the kids just want a chance. That's all they want. Like you can't promise them that they'll beat Bama or beat Georgia or beat Ohio State, but if they give them the opportunity, that's the hope they need, and that's all you need in recruiting. So yeah, I mean, I can see all these Michigan guys, if once they get a 1, 2, 3 year bowl ban, just leaving, dipping, going to another mid-level school, and be getting the starting job there, and hopefully being able to actually play for something.
Yeah, definitely. And listen, just to correct ourselves, yes, I think we were both saying Jaden Daniels. We meant Jaden Davis.
Oh
And
my
I'll be
God,
honest
yeah,
with
Jaden
you.
Davis.
Listen, Jaden Daniels has actually been on my feet a lot. I was just having a discussion about Daniels and how he's been killing it, in the
Yeah,
NFL. So Daniels was on the brain. It was an easy slip. My bad
he's my
about that. But
fantasy
yes,
quarterback too. He's my fantasy quarterback, so that's why I
yeah,
messed up there.
yeah, he's killing. So yeah, Jaden
Jaden
Davis.
Davis,
For
yeah.
those who don't know, we recruited him at Ohio State. Things just didn't work out. We accepted Rayola's commitment. I remember that, it's a little crazy little story. We accepted Rayola's commitment when Davis was on his way to Ohio State or supposed to visit, and things didn't work out. He went to Scum. But after that, we picked up Aaron Nolan, to me, a better prospect, higher ceiling, bigger kid. So anyway, the rest is history. But kids like that, I think, are really there for the taking. Once all this comes down with the NCAA, like the floodgates are going to open up. There's no
Mhm.
way these high level kids are going to stay for Michigan pride. It's no way. So yeah, we're just all patiently waiting for them to get popped. And I know it's been a long time, y'all. It just feels like it's been so long, and it has kind of. But
Yeah,
I
almost a
mean,
year.
yeah, at this point, we got another month or so. It's just, or a little over a month. We might as well just wait it out, because once it drops, it's going to be glorious, and that's all that matters. All I got screenshots galore. We got receipts. We got YouTube comments. We can go back and you know what I'm saying? Like we all gonna pop bottles, man.
Yeah,
So it's gonna be worth the wait.
you can see the NCAA setting it up too. So it started off when they released the thing to the first when they or where it really started off when they ticked off the Big Ten, and they're like, "Hey, this is really really bad." And then the next big thing that I personally noticed is when they changed when they really or they I'm not sure if they changed the rules or if they just reinstated the rules, and they said, "Hey, this is what exemplary cooperation looks like. This is what bad cooperation looks like, and this is what you can avoid." And everyone's like, "Oh, that's really random to announce," but we're like, "No, this is all meaning something." And then I
Yes.
forget what happened next, but then this comes out and they do the whole thing. They're saying like he was in he was acknowledged as a big scheme. He would do anything it takes for the Antonio Pierce case. Sorry, he would do this big case where he would or this big scheme where he was in charge of it. They would take their parents to out clubbing and to these and he was in charge of it, and that was like a lack of behavior, and it clearly shows. And they hit him with a hammer of 8 years. That's crazy. So, and that they're all setting this up for the Harbaugh case because now they have presidents, recent president, past presidents, and they have the cooperation part, and they have everything. So, I mean, it's going to be glorious. There's 0% chance. You can see the media already flipping their sides on this a little bit. Like they're slowly turning to our side. They just don't want to say something too soon. But I mean, once it happens, it's going to be great. And I mean, it's going to be some of the best Buckeye shows ever. That's going to be post Big Ten championship. I'm
Ooh.
not sure, probably mid playoffs. It really could be mid playoffs. So we can really see the hammer come down and then watch the Buckeyes win a national championship 2 weeks later. I mean, that would be glorious. That's a day I would have. I mean, off topic a little bit, B Moses, but
Mm.
a lot of people were putting out their 12-team playoffs predictions, and well, if you look through them, being the 5 seed is 100% better than being the 1 seed or the 2 seed. It's ridiculous. It honestly is. It's like, who would ever do that, bro? I really want Ohio State to go 12-0 and then lose the Big Ten championship game because I'd much rather play Boise State and Iowa State than have to play like Georgia or Texas or
Yeah.
Oregon again. Literally, those are the 3 games for the predictions that people put out. The 3 teams Ohio State would play, obviously besides a huge upset, would be Georgia, Texas, Oregon. Like, what the hell? Who would ever want to do that? They need to change that rule as soon as possible because I genuinely, if it comes down to Ohio State becoming Big Ten champions or not, and going 12-1 or 13-0, I mean, there's a strong part of me, probably the majority of me, that would say, hey, let's lose this game. Let's take a rest week this week and use this as our bye week, and then go and kick the shit out of Boise State. Oh my God, beat Boise State, and then play the next week versus Iowa State, or play and then beat them, and then play a real game versus whatever a good team in the semifinals. My bad.
Yeah, that I was looking at that as well, and I was actually like, hold on, this can't be right. Like me and another cat, I was looking at it with like, hold on, that don't what for real? But yeah, it's definitely a flaw, and I can see them changing it after this year. But you would think somebody, whoever's sitting at the table coming up with this, would clearly see that this doesn't make sense. Like the 1 seed is not being rewarded like it should, according to
Mhm.
that, right?
Yeah, absolutely not.
But one of the last things I'll say about the scum stuff, unless there's a super chat you want to, or you got something else to say, is that the week to week thought process is like, is this the week that they're going to get popped on the field, which will then kind of maybe hasten or push forward the so-called settlement, for the NOA to be released, or for them to give in to what they're going to get whacked with, because they know that their season is done. They're dead men walking. They're not going to the playoffs and not winning the Big Ten. Like Urban Meyer said, they have no shot. But will that start to really come crashing down this Saturday at Washington? And there's a lot of debate over this, even on the scoop board. I know there's some on the scoop board who feel like, hey, they were supposed to lose to USC and they didn't. But this is their first time on the road. Washington is a very tough place to play. And Funky, I'm not the Vegas guy. The spread, isn't it just -1?
It's
Isn't that it?
Michigan is underdogs by 3.
By
So
3. Okay.
Michigan's +3. Or at least, oh
Okay.
wow, oh no, it changed now. Sorry, I'm looking at it as you're talking. I think right now it's Michigan's underdogs by 1.5.
One and a
So
half. I thought I saw one.
yeah,
Okay.
so the line has moved towards Michigan the last couple days. That's a little surprising to me, to be honest with you, because I mean, oh well, okay. So the line moved to Michigan, but 71% of the bets are on Michigan. So that's just proper line movement coming down then. So that's nothing abnormal. So I mean, Vegas really hasn't taken a side on that, but Michigan. I mean, I I feel like I've had a really good feeling about the Michigan games the last couple of weeks here. I mean, the last 2 weeks on the scoop board, the 2 bets I've given out were Michigan plus the points versus USC, and then Minnesota plus the points versus Michigan. So, and then this week, it just seems, for me, it seems like the typical Washington win right now. Everyone looks at the spread. They're like, number 10 Michigan playing its unranked Washington, who lost everything, who just lost to Rutgers last week.
Right.
So you can see all the money already going on Michigan, and I see Vegas laughing their asses off right now and taking home all that bread. And I think Washington wins. I think they win pretty handily too, because Washington played really well against Rutgers last week. They just sold at the end. If you look at like the stats, and there's this thing that gets released on Twitter every week. It's called did our team really lose that badly? And if you look at the thing, it'll show you like a little graph of like how badly your team should have lost by on like certain things. And for the Washington Rutgers game, it was like Washington like they should have won by like I think it was like 6.5 points. So even though they lost by 3, according to their like metrics or the graph how the game went, they should have won by 6.5. So this Washington team's not playing bad. They're actually playing pretty well. And again, it's at home. It's a night game. It's yeah. I mean, I don't see them losing. I think they win. I think they win handily too. I think they win by multiple scores. And I
Ooh,
think Michigan's come. I really do think that. I think Michigan is emotionally drained. First road game. I think quarterbacks don't play good on the road. I think Washington wins this one pretty easily. Like but relatively easily. Where it's like a little bit of a sweat in the fourth, but you're just like it's more of a don't sell this now, Washington, and not really like a wow, Washington needs to do something right now. But that's just my that'd be my one. That's my prediction for this week for the Michigan game. So I think
hey,
yeah, they
I
fall.
love it. I love
Hmm.
that. And listen, y'all, Rutgers. I know people. The knee jerk reaction is to say, "Oh, it's Rutgers, right? It's Rutgers." This is not your typical Rutgers team that you just blow out easily, 56-0. I mean, they're 4-0.
Hmm.
They're 4-0. They went to Virginia Tech and they won. Okay. They beat Washington. They're a solid, tough, respectable team. Okay. I'm not saying Rutgers is great and now they're playoff contenders, which I don't know. Looking at the schedule, I don't know. But the point is, I think it's a combination funky of, oh, Washington lost to Rutgers, and then
Hmm.
Washington is not good. Yeah, man. It's this. I think is going to be very interesting to see Orgy on the road because it's one thing trying to throw a pass when you're not good at it, but it's another thing trying to get the calls in that loud stadium. I've never been there, but everybody I've heard that's been there said it's crazy
Deafening.
loud.
Yep, I've been
Yeah, and
there.
you've been
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. And then on top of that, not only are you trying to figure out how to throw the ball downfield for 10 yards or more accurately, which is going to be like, him freaking working a Rubik's Cube pre snap every play, then you got to worry about the noise and the atmosphere and the environment. So, yeah, man, this is going to be must see TV. And we got the 3:30 game and they got the night game. That's perfect. Oh, yeah, I'm kicking
Hmm.
my feet up after that and I'm going to enjoy that. So an L, I just want a 1 point loss for Scum. But you
Yeah.
saying you saying handily. Ooh,
I
ooh,
think so. I genuinely think so. I mean, we always say like what travels on the road is the run game and defense. And
yeah,
looking at it blankly, we're like, oh well, that's all Michigan do. They really can't pass it. But when a team can just hone in on that stuff, it's a completely different game. Because when people say that, they really mean well, like because the team still respect your pass, so they can't load the ball. Washington literally, there's Michigan won't be able to pass. They anytime they ever line up with like whatever multiple 3 wide receiver sets, you might as well just knee the ball or just punt it away. Because I mean, Alex Orji, he's going to make mistakes. I'm calling right now. Alex Orji's going to have multiple turnovers. He's going to have multiple turnovers. Washington's fired up. These guys just lost to them in the national championship last year, and it's
yeah.
a home game. This is good. They announced it already sold out. It's like the first game they sold out this year so far for Washington. It's a true sellout game for them. It's going to be loud,
Mm.
rambunctious. Their fans have been dealing with a lot of crap since they won or lost the national championship. I mean, if you ask, and people always say this. Sorry, I'm a little off topic, but people always say that it's always Ohio State and Michigan State fans that say Michigan cheated. Ask a Washington fan if what they think about the Michigan scandal. They they might feel worse about it than we do. They got their national championship taken away because Michigan cheated, and they feel that way.
That's a
And they
fair
all their
point.
fans feel like that. They feel it that way. The players feel that way. So if you don't think these players are playing for something that's bigger than football this Saturday, it's a game of momentum. It's college football. Is Michigan more talented? Probably, which is shocking to say because Michigan's not very talented this year. But um, the whatever. But since it's now that they're playing for something bigger than they are, they're gonna show up and they're gonna. I think they're gonna win big. I genuinely think that. And but again, I'm sure for 1 point loss too. B Moses. At this point, I've seen Michigan win too many close games by one that I realize that it still hurts when they win, and it still feels really really good when they lose. So
Yes,
I can't wait. Excited.
absolutely. So look, y'all. Hold on. Here's the question: can everybody see my screen? Yeah, you can. I'm sure you can. Look, is this about to be a 5 game losing streak for Scum?
Yep.
Look at this
That's
at
brutal.
Washington, at Illinois. Like, I'm shocked if they don't lose at Illinois. Sparty, Sparty in the big blouse is going to be loaded for bear. And look, Sparty, it's interesting because before the season, I think a lot of us thought Sparty was going to be trash. New coach, bunch of transfers, right?
Hmm.
And I'm not saying they're great, but they're definitely not terrible. Like they're competent in some ways. Their front seven is competent. They got a good running back, solid. Their quarterback, yes, he's young, he's a little turnover prone, but he can get you. All right. So, and it's a rivalry. Don't sleep on Sparty getting beaten Michigan this year. All right. And then of course you got Oregon and then at Indiana. Like the only game I don't feel like I honestly believe they can lose 5 straight, fellas and ladies out there, ladies and gentlemen. Like I'm looking at the schedule right now, and I'm just like, ooh wee. So the whole point of me bringing up Washington was to say, week by week, we're waiting to see things kind of crumble on the field, which may hasten, the administration of Michigan to say, man, screw it, go ahead, let's take our punishment, instead of trying to, fiddle fart around like my elementary school teacher used to say all the time, and try to like drag this out, knowing there's no escaping the inevitable. But with this schedule, if they lose at Washington, like we believe they will, oh my God, you talk about losing hope and confidence. You got to go back to back on the road to Illinois after that, and then the Sparty game. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to show that schedule because that could be brutal, y'all.
Yeah, I mean, and even BMO's. I mean, if they lose three, like they really could lose five. You're totally right on that. But even if they lose just three out of those 5 games, that means that puts them on what? What would they be on the season? That 6-5? Would that be?
Well, they already got a lot. Well, you said three if
Oh,
they lose
it was
three.
us three, so it'd be 6-4. But that's
Right.
sorry, I'm already counting the Ohio State game. My apologies. So that'd be 6-5 on the season there, and they get a win in Northwestern and go. What is that? Oh my god, that'd be wow, six. That'd be 7-5, right? Yeah, that'd be 7-5 for them. So I mean, that's horrible. Like, when's the last time Ohio State went 7-5? I think we've gone seven and we've been on bowl eligible once this century,
And that was
right?
because of Goofy Tag Gate.
And that was Goofy
And
Tackett.
that's it. The only
Mhm.
reason.
That's the only reason. And I think we've only lost more than 3 times, like that one time in the regular season. I think one time we lost 4 times, but it was we lost the bowl game or something. But like, this is horrible. If this was an Ohio State, if Michigan was in Ohio State's boot, god dang. I mean, I really don't. That winning the Natty last year wouldn't even make up for it. I mean, because and this is the best it's going to get. This is the best it's going to get. And their fans told us they'd go 9-3, 10-2. I mean, they'd be lucky to lose 5 games this year, and that's troubling. I mean, they're no. I mean, their fall from grace. It should be studied, and it's gonna be looked back on by fans for the years and years to come. Because it's gonna be their scare tactic. It's gonna be like, kids, don't be like Michigan. Don't cheat, or else it'll come and bite you. Cheating never wins. That's what I was told when I was little. So let's keep that up.
So you mean to tell me the Michigan fans are going back to delete their old orgy is Cam Newton and John Elway tweets
Oh gosh,
from four or
yeah.
5 months ago?
Yeah, right now
Uh,
they're even sitting on a high horse too, so they need to get humbled a little bit. Escaping from Minnesota, I mean, they literally had the rules changed for them to win that game versus Minnesota. The rules literally changed. Like, talk about like I feel like they've been really bailed out recently, but that hurt my soul a little bit. I was like, of
yeah,
course
that was
that
bad.
that'll never happen at Ohio State. That never happens at Ohio State. For Michigan, it seemed like it happened like 4 times in the last 2 years. So
Yeah,
yeah,
the wrath that is coming will be well worth the wait, y'all. It just will be. It's gonna pile on. It's gonna just be great. I can't wait. So in the meantime, we get to enjoy our beloved Buckeyes, who will be kicking off against the Iowa Hawkeyes this Saturday, 3:30 p.m. with the extra crispy gray uniforms that I just love. I saw them in person last year. I went to the Michigan State game, and they were just beautiful. So yeah, with that said, we want to talk about, is the Iowa game a trap game? So on our last pod, literally the last thing I said, this is not a trap game, responding to one of the comments in the post. So listen, I've had debates with people about what a trap game is in the past. I'm going to tell you, based off all my years of living watching football, what a trap game is. Okay. So a trap game, in my opinion, is a game that may come before a big time opponent. Um, Typically, not always, but typically on the road, against a plucky, feisty team that you may overlook because you got that big opponent coming the next week, right? So, example, ironically, I predicted a trap game back in 2017, and I was unfortunately correct. It was the Iowa game where we got absolutely mollywopped. Now,
Hmm.
this trap game came after a big game, the Penn State game, which I was at, the big time comeback. Y'all remember that? Saquon Barkley, all of that. Emotional. We rushed the field, crazy, right? We go on the road next week to Kinnick Stadium and get absolutely destroyed. That is a trap game. Iowa, they weren't great that year. I mean, they weren't terrible either, but the point is we shouldn't have lost to them. But that is a trap game. So in my opinion, and Funky, you can jump in a moment.
Hmm.
I'm going to explain to you why this is not a trap game, in my opinion. Um, First of all, just the overall arching undercurrent of this team is that they have not won anything. They don't have any hardware. They don't have any rings. Like, do y'all understand that? Now we can point to the fact that there's probably a reason, because there's some cheaters up north that probably prevented some of that. But that aside, they still don't have anything. So when I hear fans talk about losing focus and getting a big head and rat poison, all of that is really rat poison deterrent. If you don't have any hardware and you came back, you did not go to the NFL and make the money you could have been making right now, chilling in your Bugatti somewhere right now after practice, and decided to come back to Ohio State because you have no rings. Like, all of that is deterrent to, roll out your helmet on the field against Iowa and just act like you ain't got to play. So to me, that in itself is not, it doesn't make this a trap game. That's how I feel about it. Now, that's not the case every year because this is an exceptional year. But this Iowa game is not a trap game for that reason alone. I can go on, but to me, that right there makes it not a trap game. You want to jump in, Funk?
Yeah, I mean, I just think people have PTSD from Iowa, and every time we run into Iowa on a schedule, we're like, trap game, trap game, trap game. And
Right.
they, but like for me, I think you spot on that. I think a trap game one has to be on the road. I think there's very, I think the only other time you can ever say it if there's a trap game at home is if the Michigan game's the next week, because that's the only game that I feel like Ohio State players and coaches really really look forward to every year. Kind of what are even though it was on the road at Maryland, was that 2018 where they
Yes.
came their
That was a
one
trap game.
that's what you call a trap game. So
Yes.
that was, I mean, that was, yeah, I don't even want to bring that up. That was almost really 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 bad. But this game's, yeah, this is not, if this is a trap game, then every game on our schedule is a trap game. B Moses pretty much. So I
Yes.
think I think the Buckeyes win handily. Like I really do think that, and uh, there's Iowa has not a lot going for them, and their offense and their defense is not as good as it has been in the past. It's good. Yeah, I'd still say it's borderline elite, but it's not that good. Iowa State went into Iowa and put up, I believe, it's like a good amount of points on them. It was I think multiple touch. It was 100% multiple touchdowns. So um, this game, I'm really not sweating it at all. This could age really poorly, B Moses, but I'm not sweating it at all. I'm chilling. I'm relaxing. Uh, I can't wait for the game. But yeah, I mean the one trap. There's no trap games on our schedule this year actually. I'm not looked through it. There's really not any. Maybe only thing you can convince me of, if that Oregon game or that Penn State game is like a big game, like a huge match. Wait, no, we have a bye week after Oregon, right?
Yep,
Sorry,
we
I'm
do.
going off on a. So okay, so that can't be a trap game. So who do we play after Penn State? Do we even?
So actually, let's do this. Let's do this.
Yeah,
Hate me, my friend asked if Indiana going to be a trap.
yeah,
All right.
could be.
So now, okay. Somebody else in the comments, Nick Z, appreciate the comments, brother. He made a good point. He said, this is what he said. Indiana will be too good for a trap game this year. They could be 11-0. True. So typically in history,
Yeah.
Indiana has been a little trappy. at times because it seems like we've played them right before scum like for like the last 10 years. I know that's not true, but it
Mhm.
feels like it. And so we got them again. We got a really good Indiana team, but they're coming to the shoe. So to me, I say they're slightly trappy, but not fully trappy. And
That's
that's
trappy. Yeah. I'm sorry, B Moses. Yep.
yeah,
Keep
no,
going.
no, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's trappy because to Nick's point, they're really good this year. So you're not just going to say, "Oh, this team sucks," because they don't suck. But you got the big game the next week, and
Mhm.
it's so hard to know that you're about to finally atone for all the ridiculousness with losing the scum, being cheated by scum that next week. And you got a really good Indiana team coming in the shoe. So that's why I say it's half trappy because they're going to take them seriously, but their focus may be kind of wavering. You know what I mean? Because it's just human nature. But go ahead, bro. Jump in. You trying to
Yeah.
say something?
If that was a road game, it would be fully trappy.
Oh, yeah.
If that was
Yes.
a road
Yeah.
game, I'd
Yeah.
be the absolute trap game, 100% trap game. I honestly kind of blanked on it. To be honest, I didn't even think about that when I was thinking about our schedule. But yeah, no, that Indiana game that does feel a little trappy. I I believe in Indiana, but I don't really believe in Indiana. So I just think by the time we play them, I don't expect them to be ranked. Just 'cause I feel like they'll Indiana a few games. But hey, if they're 11-0 going to the shoe, I feel like that's almost better than if they were 3 or 3-2 losses. Because if they're 11-0, then I mean Ohio State will show up for that game. But if they're whatever lost 2 games and they're ranked 22nd in the country or whatever, and they're having a great year, then that's when I'm going to be actually a little worried. I feel like that's going to be a little harder to get up for that game compared to if you have to play an undefeated Indiana team. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Also, Indiana's just, I'm not, it's whatever. I mean, if we lose that game, then we're in trouble for the rest of we're going to be in trouble going come playoffs. Because by November 23rd, we better be sharp, B Moses. Like, we have
Yeah.
to be sharp. Like,
Yeah. So real quick, I want to Drew Dozer, the prophet. So you said if you're predicting a trap, then it ain't a trap. I have to respectfully disagree, brother. Again, in 2017, I predicted the Iowa game. I said if we lose any game this year, it's going to be at Iowa after the big Penn State game, right? Guess what happened? We lost to Iowa. Not only did we lose, we got destroyed. Now, maybe you can clarify your comments when you say when you predicted, we the fans are in a different frequency or mindset than the players. You know what I mean? So I don't think the players are sitting around predicting trap games. But from a fan standpoint, just knowing the history of how things go with emotions and big games and week to week in college kids, like that game scared me on the schedule. And unfortunately, it came to pass. So I think I get what you're trying to say because it's almost like, hey, if you're predicting it, then it's obvious. But even if it is obvious, you just never know how things go week to week because what wasn't obvious is that we were going to have to come back against Penn State at home in one of the most emotional, greatest comebacks in Ohio State history. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't, no one predicted that. So I get what you're saying, but just wanted to push back a little bit, adding some context of the specifics of the 2017 Iowa game.
yeah. And also, I mean, you could whatever. It doesn't the kids could predict the trap game or know when a trap game's gonna happen, but that doesn't take away the fact that they won Saturday. Kirk always talks about this. He hates late night games because you win late night, you beat Penn State. You think what time do you think those kids went to bed? What? They go to bed? Did they sleep? Probably not. So whatever. So that pretty much ruins their whole Sunday. Then Monday they come in a little sloppy, or they'll I don't. I've played sports before. I'm sure you played sports before, B Moses. When you win a
Mhm.
big game on Saturday, rarely. The best practice I've ever had in my life is when I have a race Saturday and we get our ass kicked. When we get our ass kicked that Saturday and we come back Monday at practice, and that's the best practice we have all year. Everyone's fully locked in, everyone's ready to go. But the worst practices is when we just have a really great day Saturday and we come back Monday and we're kind of screwing around. We're not totally focused, and then we get our ass kicked our next race, and then we have to focus in, and we realize, wow, we have to be fully 100% locked in. It's not just be given to us just because we did that in the past. But you have to get a slap in the face. No matter who you are, it happens. I mean, the only team that was really able to avoid too many trap games in the last 20 years is Alabama. But
Yeah.
that's because they had Nick Saban a head coach. So You saw Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is one of the greatest head coaches of all time, but there's
Mhm.
always a trap game. Like that Purdue game, the what the I forget what the kid's name was, but it was like I think or Tyler Skaggs game or something like that. Uh, that was a trap game. That was a night game. They're celebrating this really heroic kid, and that's what we call a trap game. And the Iowa game, I remember watching that game and or I remember being on the board and seeing Nevada and Kirk or talk about it, and I remember Nevada saying, "Hey, this might be a troubling game." And me, when I was pretty little back then, but I was like, "No way, we ain't losing to Iowa." Then I turn on the game, see like JT Barrett throw a pick six on the first game, and was wow, Nevada must know. So, but
And don't forget,
yeah,
Bosa got
exactly. Yeah.
ejected. Don't
Oh,
forget, Bosa got ejected that game too.
yeah, that I don't like thinking about that because I went to that Penn State Ohio State game and that was one of the greatest memories of my whole entire life for so many reasons. But yeah, but that was not a fun. And then we got snubbed for the playoffs that year. But whatever, I don't whatever. That's bad
I'm,
memories. But yeah, on to this year.
I'm gonna. Well, hold on. I'm gonna. Since we're in there, we're in the mud. I'm gonna bring up another bad memory. Brace yourselves. Purdue 2018.
Yeah,
Ouch. I predicted that too. Listen, I'm not trying to strut around like I. Listen, I'm not proud of those predictions because they were trash. We got destroyed by Purdue
yeah,
in
murdered me.
2018 at their crib, but it scared me on the schedule. Like, hold on, man, this makes me nervous, and we got absolutely killed. Freaking Devon Hamilton did a cartwheel into the freaking punter and got a 15-yard. It was a
Yeah,
clown show. So yes, let's step back from the bad memories of the trap games. But with that said, I will reiterate as I close, and step off my soapbox. This team, in my opinion, if there is a trap game proof team, this is the team because of what they've been through. They haven't won anything. They sacrificed a lot of these veterans who came back to actually win something. So the entitlement and all the other stuff, it shouldn't be there because entitled for what? You feel me? Like, so the fact that they don't have anything to really grab onto, to me, kind of help buffers the potential of a trap game on this schedule. Your boy, who I put the comment on the screen, I forget his name. I'm sorry. Yeah, Drew Dozer mentioned Northwestern. To be honest with you, I haven't watched Northwestern this year. I don't think they're good, but I know it's at Wrigley Field. Kind of a field that's, I mean, it's historical, but I don't think it's a good field. It's a little sloppy, and who knows? It could be an ugly game, but I would be shocked if we lost to them because they're just so bad.
yeah.
But anyway,
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I would say it's hard to have a trap game when you have like we said, B Moses, a or really, in my opinion, the best offensive line in the whole nation. I mean, so far this year, they've been the best offensive line in the nation. Yeah, I saw a stat today. You know that Ohio State is the only offensive line in the country that they don't have multiple players who have given up 2+ pressures. So that means only one player
yeah,
on
I saw
Ohio
that.
State's offensive line who's given up 2 or more pressures. What the? That is an insane stat. Like, because pressures could mean like that's not that hard to get. Like a pressure could be a lot of things. It doesn't like that's not sacks. That's not something. That's
Right.
like only one offensive line who's given up 2 or more pressures. That's crazy. And I forgot who said it. Someone said in the chat. I was looking through it. They said we've not been in a trap game under Ryan Day. That's something that's very credible to say. Oh no, sorry. I mean, it's true. It's 100% true, but it doesn't get brought up enough. Under Urban Meyer, it seemed like every single game or every year we lost one game that was like, what the heck? How do we do that? But with Ryan Day, he somehow gets these kids ready to go. He gets them ready to go, and we've not lost a game that we really, really should not have lost since he's been here. So there's been
Yeah.
games that we probably shouldn't have lost, but there's not been a game that's like a Purdue or a Rutgers or whatever. So, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Because when you have an offensive line as good as ours and a run game as good as ours, and Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles as your offensive defensive coordinators, it's hard to lose to really any team. They have to be so. We're especially not. I mean, I'll go in here and say we're not losing to any team in the country this year besides or in our schedule, sorry, besides maybe Oregon or Penn State. And I don't think any of the games are even going to be that close. I don't. They won't. None of the other teams will score over 10 points. I'll go on the limb and say that. If besides Penn State and Oregon, they won't score over 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I hear you. And with this Iowa game, um, I I love.
I mean,
To me, I feel like the focus is laser. It's laser focus, and I think I think the coaches are doing a really good job of pumping Iowa up. I think Iowa's a good, disciplined, solid, well coached team. All that stuff is true. They say in the press conferences. But if we play well, if we play even our B game, if Chip Kelly does what he's been doing, we're probably going to cover the spread. Like I think this is going to start a little muddy early. Chip will fill out your boy Parker. What's his name for the coordinator for Iowa? And I think it's going to be similar to the last time we played them in the shoe. Hopefully, without Donovan Jackson giving up a brutal a strip sack for a touchdown. But I think it's going to maybe start off a little close and then we'll pull away. I mean, they just don't have the horses. I believe we'll figure them out. And I think the run game. I think what some people are nervous about, or at least wanting to see, is how our front seven holds up against the run after seeing how we've started against Marshall and Michigan State, with allowing a few runs, even though we shut Michigan State down in the second half. People want to see this front seven be stout against a good rushing attack. So I think that's the one question mark. But yeah, I'm not concerned about Iowa and losing the game. I just want us to come out and look really, really good on defense early, especially out the gate. And yeah, go ahead, bro.
You're totally right. And so I linked through the comments. This Iowa defense is not as good as Iowa defenses have been in the past. That's the one thing. It's hard to realize it, but they just haven't. They're tough and stuff, but that front seven, there's not a first round pick in that front seven, or even really that many draft picks on that front seven. I mean, I'm blanking on names right now, but you have that first round draft pick that went to the Packers. Luke Van Ness, drafted in the first round to the Packers recently from Iowa. And there's always a few guys from Iowa that were drafted in that couple first rounds. You had a Cooper DeJean last year for Iowa in the second round to Philadelphia. This year, they have one player who I'm slightly scared of. That's Xavier Nwank. I'm going to butcher his last name. Xavier I apologize. Wampo. Yeah, that kid. He's in my opinion, he's a superstar safety, and he's the only kid in the game that I feel like can actually break open the game a little bit. Like he's the type of guy who I can see having like a pick six in the game and kind of keeping it close. But they don't really have a guy like that in the front seven. So I feel like if we can control the offensive line, which we will, then I don't see much that Iowa can do unless we really, really soil ourselves. But I just don't see that happening. I mean, I think the spread is 19.5 or 20, depending on the site you get it at. I think Ohio State easily covers. Iowa can't score. So
yeah, and to Troy's point, good comment. Yeah, that's what he does. Keep everything in front of you. Discipline, do your job. Like they're very sound. They wait for you to make a mistake. And but I think once we get up on them, it's a wrap. Once we get up on them, and we will, they're going to have to throw. At that point, we're going to see that our front seven is actually better than what they looked. And it's going to start to snowball a little bit. I wanted to get to the super chat. Thank you, Eric Peterson, for the 1999, brother. Really appreciate it. It says, if we go to the NFL style with two conferences, the Big Ten and SEC, will there be playoffs on both sides and the winners of each conference play in the Natty, or will it be one huge playoff all smashed together? You want to jump in that first before I weigh in?
Yeah, no, I think they will do this regular seating like they do now, since I really think they want to avoid having too many repeat matchups. Because if you think about it, would they, because in this case, would they even have a Big Ten championship anymore? So unless they want to completely reshuffle what they do and how they give out big conference trophies. So unless they refuse to unless they don't give out a Big Ten conference trophy until the end of that playoff ream between the Big Ten tournament, we can call it, then I don't see them. I see them just putting them all in one. And because you got to remember, it's going to be bigger than just the Big Ten is now. If that happens and they just do two conferences, you're going to have Clemson, Miami, what are all these good ACC and Big 12 teams in one of those two conferences as well. So I see them just reshuffling it at the end of the year, giving. I'm not even sure what they would do, but like 6 automatic bids, or no, to me, they're expanding it to 14, aren't they?
That's the word.
Yeah, no, isn't some there's something official, right? I thought they were officially expanding it in like 2 years. I could be wrong about that. So
I
someone put
gotta
in the
double
chat.
check. Yeah,
Yeah, but they're I really think they're going to expand it to something big. I'm not sure what the exact number is, but I think it'll be bigger than what the next expansion is, and I think they'll probably just give half to one of the super conferences, half to the other super conference, and but they'll reshuffle it in the middle to make sure to try to not have repeat games. Since I think it's better for everyone if they don't have repeat games. 'Cause I think they want to see Georgia play Ohio State, and they want to see Michigan play or Bama again, and they want to see those games happen, and they'll let the Big Ten matchups happen during the season. And however, because then if they have that, then they won't be a Big Ten championship. So that's a whole thing. That's a good question though,
yeah,
and I can see them doing
yeah,
both ways.
yeah. Very good question, and I agree with you. I don't see them doing it with two championships or two playoffs, I should say. I don't see that at all. I mean, unless there's some way that's like, oh, the money is just much better because it's going to boil
Mhm.
down to the money. But I do believe the money would probably lean more towards just one big playoff still to maximize TV dollars and all that other stuff. So my opinion, I'm going to say no, Eric. And that's my final answer at this point. But before we move on, we're gonna jump on Vernell Brown. But before we move on, one more thing about the Iowa game. And I was trying to find a comment. They were saying this is a mini scum test. I agree. I want to see. I'm just going to quickly say with the defense against their run, they got a really good running back, obviously, who's salty. He never got offered by Ohio State. Come on,
Oh
stop
my
playing with
God.
the whole.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
what
have
a
went
clown.
there. I wouldn't have went there. Come on, bro. Like, stop. Listen, you're a very fine running back, but stop the cap, bro. Like, stop it. Okay. But whatever. So with that said, their zone blocking scheme, their attack, they pull a million guards, the heavy sets, 12, 13 personnel, all of that. This will definitely be a mini scum test to see how we hold up against their rushing attack. And so now, obviously, I mean, McNamara is slightly better than Orgy, but they're both not good throwing the ball. So yeah, I think it's a comparable thing. So I want to see what I want to see. I'm not worried about toughness, y'all. The whole toughness thing from our haters over the years has been stupid and overblown. I want to see gap soundness from our linebackers. How gap sound is Sonny. How gap sound, I expect Simon to be, to do well. But I want to see our linebacker unit be gap sound because that's where they get you in this with this rushing attack. It's not just about bowling you over. It's more
Mhm.
about reading your keys, triggering, and being gap sound and not getting out of your gaps. This will be a good test for that. So I'm looking forward to that. You wanted to say something, Funk?
Yeah, no, I think the best way to play Iowa is going to play to all of our advantages because I think one thing that we did wrong in the Michigan State game is I feel like we played our cornerbacks way. I don't get why we have our superstar cornerbacks playing 10, 15 yards past the line of scrimmage. Like that doesn't really make too much sense to me. I'm sure Jim Knowles knows more than I do though, so he knows what's best. But I feel like versus Iowa, we're gonna be able to compress everyone down, not be too scared about getting beat over the top since or Cade McMore can't really throw the ball farther than Aiden Childs can, or even more better down the field. So I think we're going to be able to crunch the line of scrimmage more. And I think Caleb Downs is going to be able to make a huge impact. Because Caleb Downs is almost better on run defense than he is pass defense. So having safeties like Caleb Downs and Lathan Ramsum right there, I mean, but yeah, I mean we got to play gaps on football, and we can't let the explosive play up. But we've not done that all year, so I don't see
Right.
anything. I don't really think anything's going to change. And if a team really wants to beat us that way, then I mean, good luck. That's all I'll say. Good luck, Iowa. But I think it's a good test for Michigan though, because I think Iowa and Michigan are like in my head they're pretty much the very similar team. Like Michigan's a little more talented defensively, but I think they're very similar in the ways that the one way they're going to beat you is if they get huge runs and you throw the ball to their playmakers defensively.
Yeah.
But if you don't do that, there's no chance you win. Like if we turn the ball over only one time, and yeah, if we have one turnover, we win the game. If we have multiple turnovers, that's the one way I can see it being even close. So we've got to play good football. That's all we got to do. That sounds.
Yeah.
I know it's easier said than done though. So yeah.
No, I mean, but you're right.
Mhm.
It's that simple. It's that simple. And real quick before we move on to Vernell Brown with Caleb Downs, I don't know if some of y'all caught this listening to the press conference with Jim Knowles. He was asked about Caleb Downs, and he used the word activated. He said because he was activated, and I chuckled at that. He didn't elaborate on what he meant, but if you can deduce from context clues, he was basically saying Caleb. Well, one other thing he said is that they haven't been throwing at him. They haven't been
Mhm.
testing him. So Caleb Downs not showing up on the stat sheet is not because he's not doing anything. He's in position, and so they're not throwing on him because he's taking it away. That's what he was saying. So in the Michigan State game, we saw him pop a little more. We saw him come down from the safety spot and make multiple plays in the backfield at the line of scrimmage. And Knowles referred to that as activated Caleb Downs. So I thought that was very interesting. And he also, again, people they asked him about the soft coverage and all that other stuff. I think we're going to see a much more aggressive defense this week. You know, to the point where no, they don't do something stupid to let the running back out the back door, but they also are a little more aggressive to where, hey, we're going to play more press man and make your weak Iowa receivers beat us. We're gonna protect this box. We're gonna have 7 guys in the box at least, but we're going to be able to play man because we're not worried about McNamara killing us with a 20-yard, 40-yard run because he's a statue. So I think we're going to see a lot more aggressive defense stopping the run, but also being aggressive with going after the quarterback because we're not afraid of the pass. But yeah, that's all I got to say about the game right now until Sunday. But anything else you wanted to touch on before we hit on Vernell?
Oh no, I mean, I think I really want to hit on Vernell though, because that's exciting. But I'll let you get first punches at that one.
Yeah. So anyway, if y'all don't know who Vernell Brown is, he is a 5-star composite on 247 Sports, high 4-star in general. He is a 5'11", twitchy, super fast and short area type guy. Kid from Florida, wide receiver, and so he was seen to be an Ohio State lean early on, by some on the inside of the program. Like they felt good about him. But the NIL monster hit with Florida. He's from down there, and they sucked him in with that, which is cool. Do your thing, young man, whatever. But now with Florida and Napier, who escaped the guillotine for now because after reading up on it, they felt, hey, this might not be the best time to whack him. Let's kick this down the road to try to protect us from other things happening if we do that mid-season or early in the season. So he escaped from being whacked, but the writing is still on the wall. And so Nevada, again, with excellent sources, trust Nevada on this, per his words. They are talking. They are talking to Ohio State. And the reason why they're doing it, or one of the reasons why they're doing this, because what they're seeing with Jeremiah Smith, what he's doing on the field, and not only what he's doing on the field, but they see the plan with Ohio State. And just to clear this up for some of y'all out there, some of our haters who just think we're just passing out wads of cash to high school kids. That's not how it works with Ohio State. You don't get upfront bread like that. Okay. You get presented with NIL packages. Okay. In this beautiful city I live in, Columbus, Ohio, we got tech companies, we got Fortune 500 companies, we got a lot of money here, and we got a lot of businesses that can support with NIL. So you're presented with a package. You get here, you sign, and then boom, things are start to come into place for what you were promised and all that other stuff. And then if you produce on the field, like Jeremiah Smith has been doing already at a high level, then here comes more. So anyway, you got Ohio State saying, come on back, Vernell. Look what your boy Jeremiah Smith is doing from the South Florida Express. That's his boy. And look at his endorsements. Look at his NIL, right? So the bag you're getting from Florida may be higher as far as number wise, but the potential of making more money here in Columbus, not only that, but the NFL with our development is much greater. So that's pretty much the pitch right now. And Vernell and his family are listening per Nevada sources. So I'm excited about that because the kid is a perfect complement to adding him to this receiver room next year, with him being more of a quick, twitchy slot guy, with Jeremiah Smith out on the outside playing the X. You talk about unstoppable. So I'm fired up about this and excited, and I'm hoping they can draw him in and pull him in, because that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm genuinely shocked that Billy Napier hasn't been fired yet, because I was told that they raised the money and they're gonna fire him 2 weeks ago. So the fact that he's still there today, or that was about 10 days ago at this point, the fact that he's still there today is honestly shocking to me. I thought he'd be gone by now, and I mean, there's no way he doesn't get fired by this year. I think it's just a matter of getting enough money and getting the funding. But yeah, whatever. The coach is going to be gone. The coach is gone.
Right.
He's a dead man walking. He's not gone this year. It's next year. So, which is even worse for Vernell, because I mean, the only thing worse than having coaching change is coaching change after you're already in the program. So, but the original reason for NIL wasn't for collectives to be made and to pay players through that way. It was so JJ Smith could sign his deal with Beats and Caleb Downs can go with Beats and they can sign these bigger NIL deals with these bigger companies and Nike with all that stuff with a LeBron James brand or whatever. It wasn't for these NIL collectives to do this. So I think Ohio State has put themselves in the center of, hey, we don't just have one of the best collectives in the nation. In my opinion, the best collective in the nation, the foundation. We have the opportunities where we're going to play you if you're good enough. And if you show yourself you're good, you're going to get millions, bring you 10 times more than what we can ever give you. Because I can only imagine how much money JJ Smith is making right now. And we know what he got. He got $1 million to sign with Ohio State. Day one, he got promised $1 million deal from the NIL Foundation. Now I'm sure he's getting paid 2 million, 3 million from all these deals he's signing, from all this publicity he got, because he really showed the world who he got. So, and there's no better place to do that than under Brian Hartline and at the Ohio State University. Because Florida can have a big brand or whatever they want, but nowadays Florida, their brand's not as big as it once was because they're not winning football games. If you're not winning football games, then I mean, it's harder to tell a brand to do something. I mean, Donovan Edwards got on the cover of NCAA 25. And it wasn't because of his game plan. It's because Michigan won the national championship and they wanted a player from that team on the cover. So they selected Donovan Edwards. But it wasn't because he's such a great player. It's because he's on that team. If Donovan Edwards was on Florida or Miami, you wouldn't even know the name. So, but instead he got on literally the cover athlete, the center of the game. And we know how horrible he is at football. So your pitch to Vernell should be, hey, you're not going to make that much money in college football, and let's not even talk about NFL because talking about NFL is not even fair when it comes to Ohio State wide receivers compared to Florida. But if we're just talking straight college, you're not overall in your 4 years, you're not going to make more money at Florida than you are at Ohio State unless you suck. If you suck, then maybe Florida will pay you more than Ohio State will. But Vernell Brown does not suck, and he's a 5-star slot receiver who's a beast. So hopefully he comes to Ohio State. I'm little bit optimistic, but it's really hard to say if these kids, especially nowadays, because he has legacy to Florida and all that stuff. But one could hope, and let's say don't bet against Brian Hartline. But without or with Vernell or without Vernell, not too worried. He'll be fine. And if Billy Napier gets fired next year, then hey, his recruitment starts over again. So
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. We good regardless. We are good regardless. But boy, I tell you, him and Jeremiah Smith together, ooh boy, crazy town. So, I mean, to me, it's only going to get better as we continue to go through the season. And Jeremiah Smith, who's on a ridiculous clip right now of statistics for a true freshman, let alone just not even true freshman, just a receiver. Period. I just think this is going to be more interest, and so I'm excited to see how recruiting evolves throughout the year as our success and the product on the field kind of opens some eyes and actually stuff happening at other schools. You know how that goes, man. So yeah, I'm very excited about it. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see how this develops. This might not pop up again for another month. You know how stuff bubbles behind the scenes and you don't hear much about it. Then all of a sudden, oh, an official visit, right? Eyebrows raised. Oh, you know what I'm saying? So we're gonna see how this works out. But yeah, we've been going for about an hour. Any more super chats? No more super chats. I ain't got nothing else on Vernell Brown. Do you? Funk?
oh, I mean, no. I think the big things to look out for this weekend is Jameer Brown's visiting Ohio State, class 2027 wide receiver. We've been following that kid for a while. I look for him to be a stud. There's a class of 2026 kid from Bama coming to visit Ohio State this weekend. I'm a big recruiting. There's a lot of kids, so that's just top of my head. Like, who I can remember. We got uh, yeah, I mean a ton of Brady Edmonds from Huntington Beach, California. I grew up watching Brady. I've been to a lot of his games. Uh, can't wait to. I mean, he played the team that's literally about a half mile from my house. So watch that game was great. He's a talented kid. He's. I think again, this might be a bold take. I think Ohio State. I think Brady Edmonds commits next weekend.
Mm,
I think he commits. I
okay.
think he pulls the trigger. I think he comes and visits Ohio State, and then he'll be our first commit of the class of 2027. I think if it's not next week, then it's this month. It's coming soon, and he'll be in the Ohio State's class. Unless he gets injured and never plays football again, or Ohio State drops him, which we won't because he's a super good, talented kid. Uh, he'll be Ohio State's quarterback for the class of 2027, and yeah. So let's say this: he'll be our quarterback in class 2027. So I'm not worried at all who we get in 2026. I don't. I don't think we'll even take a quarterback in 2026, or unless we can flip a kid like I'm forgetting names at this point, but the Georgia kid. Unless we can flip one of those kids, I think we just don't take a kid because there's no reason to. Because
Yeah.
Brady's the future, Travis St. Clair's the future, uh, or Julian Sane or Aaron Nolan's the future, and Will Howard's the present. So
Yeah.
we are
I
all
agree.
good.
One more kid. 2026 O line Adam Guthrie. I don't know if you mentioned him or not.
Oh yeah,
He's
so
visiting this weekend. 6'7", 295 from Miami Trace.
there's a
Big
lot of
boy.
offensive linemen, and
Yeah.
I think there's a guy named some Corey kid who I think got crystal ball to somewhere else recently, but or he might have committed somewhere else. I'm not even totally sure, but uh he's back in the good graces of Ohio State. He's an Ohio State offensive lineman. So, and there's a report recently that Ohio State's looking to only take in-state kids for the class of 2026. So
Yeah, I
I'm
saw
not sure
that
how
too.
I'm not sure how true that is or whatever, but I like it. So 'cause we have a ton of talent this year in Ohio, so there's no reason why we shouldn't pick or choose who we get in Ohio, get them in our class, call it a day. Tell the out of state kids they can take their bands and go elsewhere.
Yeah. Listen, I love it, man. Bring them Ohio kids in, man. I love Ohio linemen. So I'm good with that. But yes, big weekend. I'm excited. I'm going to kick it, watch the game, watch the scum game. Hopefully, a scum loss. It's supposed to be great weather. Well, actually, yeah. It's supposed to be nice and clear in the 70s and probably low 60s. Oh, perfect football weather. So
Perfect.
yeah, I mean, listen, that's it for us tonight. I appreciate y'all hanging with us, rocking with us. While Kirk and Nevada are out. So appreciate y'all, Scoop family. Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure you share. And me and Funky will see you this Sunday. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
All
Twice
right.
this week. Yep, we'll see you
Yes.
all.
Yes. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.